Welcome. What is up? Welcome to the Early Edge, powered by SportsLine, our special live evening show here that we have for you for the NBA draft. So glad to have you back here. I'm your host, Allan Bell. The coach is out this week on vacation, getting himself some much needed and much deserved vacation. Our man works hard. He'll be back in a couple days. Don't worry. You'll see his lovely smiling face here in front of you very soon. But for the time being, I'm Allan Bell. I'm going to step in his shoes just a little bit, try to keep the show going here. And let's bring in our experts. Matt Severance, obviously you know him from SportsLine.com, one of our experts across many sports. Matty boy, how are you, buddy?
Good. Looks like an 0 for 2 New York afternoon, but a 2 for Chicago afternoon. So,
well, there you go. Right. Hey, well, you know what? Hey, we're going to make it even better during the NBA draft. And, if we can get a little New York-Chicago rivalry going, I mean, that fits everybody, right? It's always good. Amir, good to see you again, buddy. We had you on the morning show. You both did fantastic. How we doing today, man? All right, we might have lost him. I'll go ahead and say hello from Amir. We'll have him back here shortly. But, yeah, everybody, welcome in the Early Edge. Let's go ahead and bring up I want to take a look at our picks from the morning show today, and I just want to get the recap, the review going of what we had so we can take a look at that and then move on towards what we have going for the afternoon show. So I know this from the morning plays. Our man M Squared, Mike McClure, he's on the White Sox Royals over 9.5. That one is looking a little tough. I'm on the Athletics and Angels over 9. We've got a late play on that one tonight. Matty boy, like you were talking about, your Yankees money line against the Rays. And then Amir, he's got multiple draft plays that he had from this morning. Zaire Williams draft position under 18.5. James Bouknight draft position over 6.5. Kai Jones draft position under 15.5. Trey Mann draft position over 25.5. And our man, the Gary special parlay of the day, it was a 3-leg plus 250. We had White Sox money line, USA to qualify, and the Blue Jays plus 1.5. So you see it right there. Again, we wanted to hit that early, let everybody know what we had going on this morning. Now, the good part, the fun part of the live show, anybody that's tuned in with us, you know how it goes. We'd like to give away year-long subscription to SportsLine here, and we want to do that today. So you know the rules. If we get 100 likes, 1 year free given away. 200 likes, 2 free years given away. 300 likes, 5 years free given away. So make sure, give a shout out in the chat. Be sure to follow SportsLine on Twitter. Put your Twitter handle in the drop. And what you really have to do, is to just be involved. Make sure everybody hits the likes. And we're going to drop some questions and everything in there to have some fun during the show. So all of that being said, Matty boy, so we've got the NBA draft tonight. Our man Woj has been dropping, tipped picks all day today. Yeah, which, let's be fair. You've been on this for a few days now in terms of at least the first 3. So for anybody who hasn't seen, Matt, walk us through the first 3 picks of the draft, what you expect to happen, where they're going, and why.
Well, it's a done deal now. Like Cunningham's already been reported as the first pick. No surprise there to Detroit. Jalen Green's going second to Houston. Again, barring a trade, I don't see Houston doing that. Cleveland maybe could trade if they got Colin Sexton involved, but they're going to take Evan Mobley at number 3. It's just a point of where you get it now, like at the price. When I wrote the story on Monday, it was minus 135. I think the last time I looked, it's like minus 600 now. So not a ton of value there at this point, unless you parlay with some other stuff. So I think the draft really starts at number 4, although that's going to be Jalen Suggs at Toronto. I haven't seen the latest price on that, but that's skyrocketing too. So I guess technically the draft starts at number 5 right now. It's with Orlando.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent point. And I want everybody to know, I see in the room here, some questions coming in. Sean Wilson says, the first 3 aren't available in terms of your books and betting on it. And this is exactly why, because these tips have been picked. Obviously, there's a lot of, quick moving information that's coming in. So that's why you're probably not going to be able to bet on the first 3 picks. And Matt, like you said, the
It's
draft.
not like the NFL draft. Things move.
Yeah.
Things move very fast in the NBA. It's like they get stuff out before the NFL keeps a lid on stuff. The NBA guys shams and they wisely probably know before Adam Silver does what's happening. So yeah. You got to bet early to make any money, really.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And when you say that, the good thing is that's exactly why we're doing this show, and that's why we wanted to bring everybody together, because while the first 3 picks, they're probably off the board at all of your books, but that doesn't mean that all of them are, right? So I mean, there's so many good nuggets. So Amir, welcome back in, buddy. I'm going to kick it over to you. Go through your morning plays, because you had I think 5 prop bets on the draft. Walk through those. Let's take a look at those, and then we're going to look at some live plays that we have for the show today.
Yeah. Well, first off, I started with the exact order rather of the first 3 picks. So we're going to go ahead and take that one off the table. But the first one that I was looking at, I'll start with the +21 actually, is James Bouknight's draft position over 6.5 is what I really liked. It was +100, then it moved to +130, and now +150. So it's essentially he's getting drafted 6th, or he might even drop to 10 if not. So I still think that's a good shot, because just looking at Oklahoma City and how they never telegraph what their draft picks are, and they try to move up to the 1st spot, the 4th spot. They would like Evan Mobley at 3. So I think that they can get some draft capital and trade back some. They'll do that, and that's what they've done over the past couple years. And they have a great opportunity to do so, given that no one else wants them, I don't think, inside the top 10. So then Zaire Williams under 118.5, which was -115. That one has actually gotten a little bit more juice on it. Met with all teams but one are picking in the lottery, who wanted to work him out, at least his public ones he released, aside from the New York Knicks, who were picking at 19. So I like him to go like right under there. New York knows that's a little bit of a reach. And just give me a second. My computer did a restart, is why I was missing at the beginning of the show. So
no, you're good. You're good. No, and I can read through
away
it.
From me.
Yeah, no, you're good. I can read through it. Zaire Williams.
The Blue Knight kind of goes into one of my props, because a lot of people, he was supposed to be Jonathan Kuminga was supposed to be a top 5 pick before the draft, but I guess he slid a little bit. Now, like I say, Blue Knight might go. And I'm at over 6.5 on Kuminga, because I think he's right. I think Blue Knight's going 6 to the Thunder. I don't think Kuminga's going before 7 to Golden State. So that's one play I have over 6.5. It was -150, but again, these props are changing by the minute price wise.
Yeah, they are. And that's a good point too. That it really is a lot different than the NFL draft. I mean, this thing moves quickly, especially when you have guys like Woj and them out there, that are tipping picks, etc. So be quick. Strike when you can, and when you feel comfortable on the bets, that we give out. And that's exactly why I want to jump in exactly and quickly to what we have going on the live show, because the earlier we can get it to you, obviously, the better. So, Matt, I'm going to throw it over to you first, buddy. You've got 4 more picks, for our show today based off of the draft tonight. I'm going to hand you the wheel, my man. You've got it. Run through these 4, what you have and why you like them.
Like I said, Kuminga was one, over 6.5 at -150. Again, these prices might be different, so got that right there. Josh Giddey at under 10.5. I think could be the first international player taken. Kuminga's from the Congo, but he's played ball in the USA. Giddey's played in Australia. 6'9" guard. He's been compared to Ricky Rubio. Supposedly the Kings love him. And in fact, there's just some news here that Montrezl Harrell opted into his contract for the Lakers, which makes it easier to trade him and Kyle Kuzma to Sacramento for Buddy Hield. And that way the Kings could take Giddey at 9 to replace Hield, or he's not getting past Memphis at 10. Apparently they made that trade with New Orleans because they liked Giddey a lot. They compare him in the backcourt with John Morant. I mentioned Kuminga. JT Thor is an interesting prospect. Started his high school career in Alaska and then moved to West Virginia for better competition. He played about 23 minutes last year for Auburn. He kind of looks like high school Kevin Garnett. So his ceiling is off the charts, but he's 2 years from being ready. But he's just wingspan's massive. Under 31.5, I think, is a really good play there, because I think why they're doing 31.5 is because first of all, I think he'll go late first round, but I don't think the Bucks, who have a history of drafting guys who are freakishly athletic but pretty raw, guy named Giannis, I don't think he's getting past the Bucks at 31. So I would go under 31.5 on him. And then Luka Garza, how can you not mention him? Arguably one of the 5 best Big Ten players ever. Statistically, it really can't be argued. Best player in Iowa history. He's not, not Magic Johnson or anything, but he dominated for the last 2 years. But, this for 35 years ago, he's Danny Ferry. He's going in the top 5. It's not 35 years ago. His size, and he's just not that fast. Some people think he'd go undrafted. I just think he's a coach. They're going to reward him for being such a good player, and he's like going to be a good bench guy, good practice guy. He could back up power forward in the NBA. There's of course 60 picks in the draft. I can't imagine he's going to last till 55. So I like Garza under 54.5, and that's basically a pick him. So some coach will take him just say he's a good kid, he deserves this. Second picks are basically throwaways. I mean, the Pelicans just sold theirs for $2 million, so why not take a chance on a 2-time Big Ten Player of the Year?
Yep, I'm with you there. And Amir, we're going to switch over to you real quick. Let's take a look at what you have on the board for the live show today. A lot of them, understand, you're going to see kind of the same names on some bets, but as we talked about with how quickly that these lines are moving around, we want to make sure, that as they do, we take a look at where there still is value, where to stay away. So, Amir, I'm going to throw it over to you, buddy. You got 4 right here. Walk us through what you like.
Yeah, well, I kind of already touched on the first 2, so I want to come in and talk about Kai Jones, which I talked about him on the morning show out of Texas. He's one of those hybrid forward kind of guys when you're just talking about the modern game, as far as shoot the 3-pointer, shot at 38% last year. He's going to be able to switch. His his agility was a big thing that they liked from the combine from him, which had him shooting up draft boards. I talked about how he was linked to the Hornets a little bit earlier today, who were picking 11, and I gave that pick away at -165, which has actually moved to -150 now. So a little bit more value there. No other team has really been linked to him, but it's pretty a lot for the most part. People think he could go like late lottery / right outside of the lottery, just as far as as far as his potential. And so yeah, I like that one there. And then Trey Mann is actually one that's seen some movement a little bit. It varies across books, but over 25.5 at -112 was what I wrote yesterday. And then I think over on some other books it was 24.5, over the 24.5, which is juiced all the way to -180. But I just talked about how there's so many good guards coming out who are going to go just outside of the lottery, where it's just like they're going to be first rounders, and you're just not sure where. When you look at guys like Sharife Cooper, who's second freshman in the past 30 years, aside from Trae Young, who averaged 20 and 8. And you look at guys like Ayo Dosunmu, and then they're just the list goes on and on. Jaden Springer and all those guys are going to come in, and the guys like Zaire Williams, who are just going to, I think, push him over that, and possibly he could slip to the second round out of Florida.
So, first off, thank you so much. And everybody, make sure smash that like button. We want to give away as many SportsLine year-long subscriptions as we can. So make sure to do that. Also, make sure to drop any prop bet questions that you have. This is going to kind of be just a fun show with everybody in the chat, because it's only 2 rounds, right? So we want to make sure that we hit every single play possible. So if you're looking at something, drop that in. Scott Sneed says here in the chat, Jalen Johnson over under 15.5. Any thoughts here? I'll leave it open for both of you guys. Any thoughts here that you have on JJ over under 15.5?
Again, it's always interesting where they put the number, because they're putting 15.5 because the Thunder have 94 first picks, so they picked 16th, one of their other ones. And Jalen Johnson was largely a bust at Duke. He was a super mega recruit. Played when he was there, then he left the team. I mean, you can't play for Coach K and last a full season. Why would anyone want you? But when you have so many first round picks, you can take a risk on a guy who's clearly got the talent. Just needs the right coaching. Not that Coach K is not the right coaching, but he could just want to get paid. So I would go over. I don't think he goes before 16 to Oklahoma City again, assuming the Thunder stay there.
No, for sure. Amir, any thoughts you have here?
Yeah, I'm the same there. He kind of he went to go to the combine to kind of try and prove that, I'm still that guy, the recruit who can go who can go lottery. Yesterday, when I was initially looking up some of my doing research for some of my picks, he was at over 14.5 at like plus 100. So you see where that's going out. He's trending the wrong direction. And then with all these other guys just like flying up, like when you look at Book Knight and Gideon, some of these other guys, Zaire Williams, who are climbing like into that possibly right out of the lottery conversation. It's just like, he didn't necessarily showcase the kind of upside that most people thought, and they feel like they can get higher ceilings from some other guys. So I'd definitely go over on that too.
Okay.
There's some breaking news that the Lakers may be about to get Westbrook, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
man.
all right. So let's talk about that for a second, right? Because I love NBA trades, and I love I think that the NFL trade it's more off season. Obviously, what we're seeing, in July and June, etc. But with the NBA, I love that it happens, just ridiculously quick, like right after the season. So Shams, our man here, says Lakers and Wizards are engaged on a trade that would send Russell Westbrook to LA. Sources tell the Athletic. Stadium. Westbrook wants a move elsewhere, and the Lakers are his preferred destination, sources said. So, Amir, I'm going to throw it back to you. You see that, you hear that trade. If that goes through, how does that affect the Lakers? What do you see his value play, not only joining forces with LeBron and the team, but how do you see the Lakers overall coming back healthy with, a guy like Russell Westbrook, who, the last 2 years is averaged a triple-double? This dude is just a stat machine, right? So, yeah, I throw it to you, man. Like, how does this trade, look in Los Angeles?
Yeah, I think it's only gonna make people even higher on the Lakers, where Russ has always been. He's always been the do everything kind of guy. I don't think we'll see another average or triple double kind of season. But when you get that kind of downhill kind of runner, and add him with LeBron, add him with Anthony Davis, one of the best two-way guys, and then like Matt talked about, adding Buddy Hield, who's been one of the most undervalued, just elite outside shooters over the past couple of years. It's just like, man, it's like when you have to like crash down on guys like LeBron, Anthony Davis, and guard them, and then you have the wide open shooters like Buddy Hield. It's only gonna make their ceiling rise, I think. And I think it'll make their title odds a little less favorable, which, a lot of people are already trying to put asterisks on this past one. So I think everyone's going to be super high on the Lakers again. I wouldn't be surprised if they open up as favorites to win it all if they go ahead and pull this through.
If they get this trade done, yeah, for sure. Matty boy, I throw it over to you, man. Same question.
I don't like this deal at all. If it's by itself, they lost in the playoffs because they couldn't shoot from three-point range, and Russell Westbrook cannot shoot from three-point range. Now, they can still get Hield, although, again, it's not a done deal yet. I don't know if there are draft picks involved. They can add Hield and Westbrook, and that's a different story. Completely. The Nets aren't going to be beaten no matter what the Lakers do, if the Nets are healthy, of course. But, I just think Westbrook's a public player, so all of a sudden you're going to start seeing a bunch of action on the Lakers to win the title next year. But I think by himself, what's he ever won? Never been in the finals. Incredible to watch. But yeah, I think his triple-double days are definitely over. But and he's from Los Angeles, so I'm sure he'll be very motivated. But unless this is part of a bigger picture thing, I don't like it much.
Well, I'll say this, and what
we'll make this so the Lakers are guaranteed now to be on opening night if they weren't already, because the Bucks are going to host the first game of opening night. Now I guarantee the Lakers are the second game against maybe the Clippers.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And count me in for that, because I would absolutely watch that game for sure. But I'll tell you what. No, you bring up an excellent question, and I want to ask this to both of you guys. And we're going to jump back in the chat here in just a second. We got some prop questions for you. But you bring up the Lakers, with this trade. You bring in the Bucks, right? So walk me through it, because you guys know the NBA and the NBA draft a lot better than I do in terms of, constructing a roster, right? So if you're the Bucks, how do you approach the draft? You just won a title. Arguably, probably, you have to be the best team in the NBA, at least on paper. You know what I'm saying? Because you just ran through, and did your thing. But, you're going to be the top 5 of teams in terms of odds for next year. But if you're the Bucks, how are you approaching this? Is there a specific position that they're looking to get? Is there a certain player that they're looking to acquire? Like, how do you go about a draft when you just won a title? Amir, I throw it to you first.
Yeah, I think one of the main things is definitely when Matt was talking about JT Thor, I think that's the kind of direction they might go in. What they really need to do is kind of have more of an insurance policy for Giannis at this point, because when you look at like right behind that small forward, power forward spot, it's a little weird. You kind of have PJ Tucker being like, when they're completely healthy, Dante DiVincenzo was out because of the injury he suffered in the playoffs. But PJ Tucker is kind of like he's their backup 3 and their backup 4. And when you look at like even and before him, it was like behind Giannis, it was his brother who is not necessarily say is like the worst player, but I don't know if he's the guy you want to play heavy minutes behind him. But kind of having like a tweener guy who can maybe stretch the floor a little bit more, because that's just like put more pressure on Chris Middleton. So I think more of those like wing super athletic guys, like you said, they have some of them on the team who aren't necessarily getting minutes now. Maybe they develop a little bit more coming to the next season. But yeah, just those like long athletic wing guys, so that PJ Tucker is not kind of the only option. And then Bobby Portis played his way into probably some money this past year. But they also want to prepare for the future.
Yeah, great answer, Matt. Same one.
Best player available. I mean, they got the 1 pick beginning of the second round. So they're not locked into a contract, which is their number 1 priority right now. They're going to be way into the luxury tax. So you just take the best player available. I don't think it matters what position. Their core 3 are pretty young. Like I said, they got Portis, the free agent. Tucker may or may not be back. Whoever they draft is probably not going to help next year anyways. It wouldn't surprise me if they sold it for a couple $1 million just to kind of help ownership. They're not exactly a big market team. So, just best player, like I say, is sometimes a high ceiling guy like Thor, or someone just matched Dosunmu at over under 26.5. If he's there at 31, great player at Illinois, you take him. I really don't think the position matters.
Well, I think that's a fair answer. And I'll say this. This note just dropped in, Matt, what you were talking about in terms of this trade. And Amir, you're saying the same thing of the Lakers, of how their title odds would be next season if this deal went through. Just the hint on Twitter that this deal with Russell Westbrook could go through. The Lakers just dropped on William Hill from plus 400 to plus 350 to win the title next year. So, I mean, it's that quick. Like, just from, Sham's Twitter drop alone. So, yeah, you guys were right. It goes to show it. Now, we got some questions in the chat here. And
I think this means Bradley Beal might be traded tonight, too, though.
That's a great point, too.
Maybe to the Warriors.
Okay, so all right, so let me pause there. We're going to jump in the chat 1 second. Are there any other trades that we're expecting that could possibly go down? And it doesn't have to be tonight. It doesn't have to be right now. But in, the next 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours. And I just put this question to both of you. Is there anything out there that you expect to see that, even rumors that you could see? Yeah. Either one of you. Matt, you go first.
If Westbrook's gone, Beal's not going to be happy. He's
Yeah.
going to demand to get out of there. So I don't know if it'll happen tonight. I mean, you kind of, I would think it would, because you want to know what draft pick you're getting now, as opposed to if they send him, wait till next year, they don't know. If they trade him before the season, they're not going to know where the draft pick's going to land. But they could send him to the Warriors tonight for their 2 lottery picks and James Wiseman and Andrew Wiggins. And they probably flip Wiggins somewhere. But I would be shocked now if Beal stays, because he's got to be, they're at least sort of competitive, and Westbrook and he got along. But now that Westbrook's gone, if this goes through, I don't see how Beal stays. But
yeah, no, I'm with you, Amir. Same question.
Yeah, the immediate one that comes to mind, I would say, is the Warriors. But then another one, it's kind of what's been picking up some traction over the last couple of days, is the 76ers trying to test in the waters with Ben Simmons. We saw them. They tried to get a haul from San Antonio, which would have blown up their rebuild for sure, asking for a lot of future firsts and things. Where the idea around Ben Simmons is surround him with spacing. Surround him with spacing by adding good shooters and things like that. And then I saw Matt. I can't remember what team it was, but I saw another team shot down a Ben Simmons trade. So I wouldn't be surprised if they just continue to shop around and maybe ask for a little bit less, because it's pretty clear that they want to go ahead and keep moving forward with the Joel Embiid centerpiece. But Simmons is a guy who's going to be able to pull in a lot of attention if people can get him for the right price. And I think we're just seeing how all the pieces kind of land today, they'll have a better idea of what they could possibly get for him.
Well, if I'm the Wizards, I would take Simmons now for Beal, because then you have Simmons, 2 Warriors picks, Wiseman, your own pick. All of a sudden, you're a young, interesting team. I know the Wizards have been saying no to Simmons for Beal, but now again, if they're just rebuilding, I'd say yes to that trade now. I mean, I know Portland wants him too, but
Well, I'll tell you this. I'll interrupt you with this information. Woj over at ESPN, he just broke this news right here. The Lakers are near a deal to acquire Washington's Russell Westbrook for Kyle Kuzma, Montrezl Harrell, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and a 2021 first-round pick. Sources tell ESPN. Yeah. So, I mean, that's a massive deal. Obviously, a Woj bomb right there. So, yeah. So, it's enjoyable, right, that we have massive deals like this. So, the Lakers with Westbrook, man, like we're going to talk more about this. Like that's obviously a massive, massive deal. What I want to do, I want to jump into the chat because we got some questions here. First off, I've seen when does the draft start? 8 p.m. Eastern, ESPN. Give it a few minutes. Obviously, you know how drafts go. There's going to be, a little bit of time. And correct, Dominic Jackson is saying Shams was first. Absolutely, he was. We want to make sure that we credit the right people. We were just adding in Woj's tweet there. But yes, you are correct. Shams was first. Did his job. Fantastic job at that. 8 p.m. Eastern, ESPN. Give it a little bit of time, before the first pick. Obviously, they're going to milk that a little bit, with the draft. But so I want to jump into some of these questions here, and we've got some questions about the Warriors. So we'll start there. All right. Thoughts on what Golden State does in the draft, and do you have, any specific direction that they should go, or are you just thinking best player available? How should they approach it? Matt, I throw it over to you first.
Well, like I say, now I think they're not. I don't think they're going to use those picks now.
Yeah,
I think they're gonna flip them. Curry's getting old. Draymond's getting old. Clay's coming off 2 major surgeries and 2 missed seasons. They're already over the luxury tax, but they're also the most profitable team in the NBA right now. So I think they're going to flip those picks. I would be surprised now if they make like I said, I think the Westbrook was the domino. I think that's going to open everything up. Like I said, Buddy Hield can't go to the Lakers now. They just gave up all their cap and everything. So I don't know that he would fit on the Warriors, but they have bigger eyes. In fact, I'd almost give like even money that Bradley Beal is traded tonight.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, Amir, for sure to the Warriors, but I bet it'll be a bidding war between them and the Sixers.
Yeah, Amir, I see you nod your head. Do you agree?
Yeah. I definitely don't expect them to use, especially after the season they had last year, and they have the pieces they have coming back. They're going to want getting like 2 19, 20-year-old guys is not the fit for them. The guys are going to come in and immediately contribute and kind of take some of that load off as they bring in Klay Thompson. They want to maximize their potential and reach and play at the top of their game right now. Before maybe guys who like Davion Mitchell and like Franz Wagner kind of move the needle as far as like fit wise, but I think there's a really small chance that they use either one of them at this point.
Gotcha. Now we're gonna answer.
I've got another prediction.
Yeah.
Next Lakers is the Christmas Day marquee game.
Okay. All right. I like it. I can roll with that. I like it. That's a good call right there. Now, everybody, we're going to keep answering these questions here. Make sure to hit those likes. We want to give those subs out. And to tell you this, look, your boy Coach just texted me, said, look, he misses everybody in there. You, Amir, you, Matt, miss you guys. Didn't say me as much, but you know what? I'm kidding. Coach said we're all doing – yeah, no, he said we're all doing a great job, but he misses it. He can't wait to be back. He'll be back soon. I think, 3-4 days. But he wanted me to make sure to let everybody know that he misses all you guys. So I'll tell you what, we're going to have a fun game here. On the side, beyond our games in the chat, I'm going to give this subscription out year-long on my own. I'll pay for it. What I want is everybody that has Twitter, send Coach a tweet with a funny GIF and just say we miss you. That's all you got to do. Make sure to tag SportsLine on it so that I can see it. After the show, I'm going to go through and find the funniest one, and I'm going to hit you with a year-long subscription myself. So on Twitter, tag Coach, tag SportsLine, send him a funny GIF, let him know that you miss him, and I'll find you after the show and give that one out. But make sure to hit those likes because we want to give those away in the show as well. Okay, so Ben Shepard in the chat asked, all right, Ayo Dosunmu, and if I mispronounce his name, apologies, over under 26.5. So, Amir, I'm going to throw it over to you first, but, this is just kind of rapid fire fun with it. Anybody feel free to jump in. Amir, any thoughts that you have here?
Yeah, that was a prop that I had a good look at. I think I said, what did you say, 26.5?
Yeah, 26.5.
Yeah, I like the under 26.5 when I looked at it. I can't remember exactly what the odds were, but yeah, he's just in that crop of guys who were maybe not immediately after the lottery, but who are just toward that like late first round kind of thing. And then another thing to look at, I think that's a good sign for point guards, given that Lakers Wizards trade, the Lakers had that 22 pick. And now if you look at Beal now, if he's probably out the door, Russell Westbrook out the door, they're going to need a guard. They're not going to roll with Ish Smith and whatever committee moving forward if they can get a young guard at that 22 spot. So maybe it's not necessarily Dosunmu, but a lot of those guards can kind of slide up who are like in that 25 if all that is kind of going to be the course of action.
Matty boy, any thoughts here?
And I'm a Big Ten guy, so I saw a lot of Illinois basketball last year. And he a couple triple doubles. He took over games. I mean, apparently he should have stayed in school. I thought he'd be a lottery pick. He must not have fared well in the combine or something. But yeah, I mean, great player. Just looking at most of the major mock drafts, they're over. The last CBS one has him going to the Clippers at 25, but pretty much all the other ones had me. They're like right at the end of the first round or right at the beginning of the second. So I just, like I said, I played minor college basketball, but clearly I'm not a very good scout because I thought that guy was a top 10 talent. I saw him play, but
I'll tell you what, next time you're on the show, dude, we're going to have you like with a clipboard, right? And even like you're sitting in the stands, like with binoculars, whatever. We've got it on the board here. His over under 26.5. Both priced at -115 over or under. So yeah, it looks like that number is pretty good. And beyond the NBA, like whether it's NBA draft, NFL draft, I like seeing players like this, like Matt, like you just discussed, in terms of really solid guys that can do it all, that find themselves in a number like that around 26.5. Because if you're talking about a player like that going to the Clippers, right? Use it in the NFL version. This is a guy that's going to the Packers or, the Ravens, a team like that, right? Like those guys can make a big difference, even though, in terms of his talent, the numbers probably fallen at what people thought that he was going to be, even if, lottery pick or right, outside of it. But you could make a really nice career if you fit on, with those squads. Obviously, those rosters are a little bit more difficult to make as well, but I always find those interesting. Now, another question we have, and Matt, I'll start with you on this one. So Joseph McBride asked, do you think we see any surprises in the top 6, or will it be as simple as everyone is mocking with Cade, Green, Mobley, Suggs, Barnes, Bouknight? What are your thoughts there? Any surprises that we might see in the top 6?
I really don't think so. Even though I went over 6.5 on Kuminga, I think he'd be the one guy because, like I say, he was considered a potential number 1 overall pick when this all started. Like I said, I think the top 4 is locked. I don't think any trades will affect that right now. But maybe the Magic could take him, but they seem pretty set on the front court. I don't see like someone kind of coming like Patrick Williams last year. I don't see someone like that just rocketing up the board at the last minute. I honestly do not.
No, it makes sense. And Amir, you again, you're shaking your head. It looks like that you agree.
Yeah. Like I said, if you wanted to try any plus money thing, it would probably, probably not Barnes, but Kuminga and Bouknight are just like right in that. They're most likely going to go back to back. It's just a matter of like trades. It's just a matter of trade scenarios, which you really can't predict at this point. I do still like Bouknight's over, but as who knows, maybe OKC is just gonna be out in the open and just say and want everyone to know that they want that guy and they want him at that spot. But yeah, even moving like to the top, even like moving through the top 10, I don't think we'll see any like super crazy surprises. Like I don't think we'll see like a Jalen Smith kind of scenario. Again, everything kind of seems to be hashed out at this point. So to see someone like just fly into even the top 10, who I wouldn't expect to be like, it'd be surprising.
So, Amir, while we have you here, I'm going to leave the mic on you. The jeweler, if you could do me a favor, if you could pull up Amir's picks, let's kind of reset here. Let's see what we've got for anybody that might have joined the show a little bit late. Amir, I'm going to throw it to you. Your picks on the show, I believe that you had, we got it right there. So you got 4. Walk us through each one of what you have and why. Why you like these plays at that exact position.
Yeah. Starting off with Zaire Williams under 18.5 out of Stanford. Just one of those high ceiling guys who maybe he didn't necessarily play his best in college during his 1 year, but he was like a preseason top 10 pick before. He's a wing at at 6'9", 6'10" in shoes. Plays pick and roll, passes the ball, take it off the board, will take it the full length of the court, and look to set guys up. And there's not a lot of players like that in this draft. So, if you can, not necessarily to say he'll max out on his potential, but he only worked out for one team who was drafting outside of the lottery in the New York Knicks, like I touched on earlier, who pick at 19. So I think there's a good amount of value there. It was at 115. It bumped back to minus 120. I don't know if that'll fluctuate anymore. Then we're going to go back to James Bouknight over 6.5 at plus 150 now. It moved from plus 100, plus 130. So we're seeing that trend in the opposite direction. And yeah, this is a matter of the Thunder being transparent, which they haven't been in the past, and what they've been able to do over the past couple of years and really rack up that draft capital. It'll be interesting. I think if any of the teams are going to make a trade in that front group, 5-6 group, it could be the Thunder. So maybe he still climbs into the top 10, but I think it's worth sprinkling a little something on that if it's 6 or nothing. That's pretty much the assumption at this point. Then Kai Jones under 15.5, which was minus 165. Now it's minus 150. Linked to Charlotte at 11. No one else really, but he's a guy who's widely been talked about as a right outside of the lottery, jumped up through the combine by showing his athleticism, showing that he can stretch the floor, shooting 38% from three, just being a real energy guy who can switch, defend multiple positions, kind of deal, stretch the floor with his shot. So that's what a lot of people are looking out of their forwards. And then Trey Mann over 25.5, minus 112. His 24.5 is juiced to minus 180. At some books, but yeah, and I don't know if necessarily that makes Trey Mann slide down some now that we've gotten all that news about the guard trades and all that that'll probably happen. But yeah, given Sharife Cooper and Ayo Dosunmu and Jaden Springer and a lot of these other guards who could kind of creep into that conversation, Bones Highland. There's just so many guys who can do a little bit more than him. So I think he could drop out of that 25.5 because he's a creative shot maker. But aside from that, there are a lot of other questions about his defense, about his playmaking. He only had, I want to say, somewhere 5 or 6 more assists and turnovers through his 2 years in college. So I think that's a red flag. So I'd be surprised if he climbed inside the top 25 there.
Matty boy. All right. So the jeweler, let's put up Matt's picks here. I want to ask the same question to you, man. Let's walk through it. What you got on the board, what you like, why you like it, and where can we all make some money off your picks tonight?
Is he putting them up? Yeah, there you go. Like I said, I think Giddey's all but a done deal. I don't think that will change this trade, change anything. Same with, like I said, he's a 6'9" guard, Ricky Rubio type. I think, especially although the Kings keep Hield, he might not fit, but once you get a guy is about to be traded, he usually gets traded somewhere. So I'm not sure Hield's long for Sacramento anyways. I don't think he gets past 10 regardless. Kuminga, like I said, I think that would be a guy that Washington would jump all over if they got the 7th pick from Golden State, if they do that trade. JT Thor, we mentioned earlier, just a project, but like a 7'3" wingspan. He's like a little mini Kevin Garnett. Youngest player in the draft, I believe, not even 19 yet. So could be a crazy talent down the road. And Luka Garza, I think someone asked that on the chat. Awesome player in college, but just the NBA's you got to be a stretch 4. The NBA, he can shoot a little bit from outside, but 6'10", 260. He's just going to be bullied in the NBA, and he's just really slow. He can't guard anyone. He can't just play a zone all the time in the NBA. So I do still like him under, just because I think some coach will reward his hard work, want him in practice, that kind of thing. And it's near the end of the draft, so there's really no risk there.
I like it. Now we're gonna play a game here, and we're gonna have some fun. And look, this game includes everyone in the chat because, like I said, you know what? I'm going to pay for another subscription. All right. I'm going to hand out another one, and we're going to play this game, and we're all going to play it together. So everyone in the chat, this is your question. Answer with just the name and put your Twitter handle, so we can find you. But yes, answer with this question here. Taking Cade Cunningham out of the equation, Who's the best player in this draft? So everyone in the chat, drop in your answer. We're going to pick one at random and give out a year-long subscription to SportsLine. So while they are doing that in the chat, Amir, I'm going to throw it to you first. Cade Cunningham, not involved. Who's the best player in this draft?
With me, I'm definitely going Jalen Green. It's a no-brainer for me. I think he's done a little more to prove himself. Which not a lot of centers who come out with kind of Evan Mobley's mix of just shot blocking, and also being able to potentially have like a guy who stops on break and shoots like pull-up jumpers kind of deal. That's the ultimate inside-out kind of guy defensively, and he can stretch floor. But just Jalen Green, what he did as a G League player, opting out as the number one prospect heading into college, which I wouldn't necessarily say that going to the G. I don't know. I wouldn't say it like lowered people's opinion of him. It's just necessarily, you're on national television all the time, and that really boosted Cade Cunningham up. But he's been able to score off the catch. He's been able to score off the dribble. Just like probably the most ridiculous athlete in the draft as far as just like head over the rim. Just like so many different like shot combinations. As far as like spinning, hitting shots through contact. He's like, he can get a shot from anywhere on the floor, and he's like, at 6'5", and he can play kind of a combo guard kind of thing. There are not a lot of players like him who can just score just about any way. And he's already played against former NBA guys and aspiring NBA guys, grown men. He's having like 17, 18 points on solid shooting percentages. So if he's already able to do that, just 1 year skipping through college, then imagine when he gets in and gets a little bit more fine tuning. So I think it's definitely Jalen Green.
Matty boy, same question to you. And everybody in the chat, make sure, drop your player, put your Twitter handle in the chat. We want to know who is the best player in this draft, taking Cade Cunningham out of that equation. Make sure to put those in the chat right now, and we'll hit the winner at the end of the show. So, Matty boy, same question, buddy. Where you going?
Oh, Luka Garza, obviously. Oh, you mean in the pros? Okay. I think it's Evan Mobley. He looks like Chris Bosh to me. He can hit threes. He can guard on the perimeter. He's a modern center. He's not Shaq. He's really thin. He shoots almost 70% from the free throw line. You think, well, why does that matter? Because it's been proven if you can shoot well from the free throw line, you can shoot well from the perimeter. Just ask Ben Simmons, Dwight Howard, whatever. So he's probably only going to get better. He was the number one recruit in the country. Some would argue Cunningham was, and he was awesome. They carried a pretty mediocre USC team to the Elite Eight. I think Mobley, I think the Cavs are getting a steal here. I think they're going to be scary good in a year or two. If they re-sign Jared Allen, they could have a pretty interesting old school Twin Towers with Sexton and Garland in the backcourt. They don't trade either of them. I would fear the Cavs in a couple of years. So I think they're getting the best player. I don't even think it's close. Cunningham's awesome, don't get me wrong, but he's not very athletic. So I understand why the Pistons are taking me, do everything well, but I think Mobley's going to be the best difference maker.
I love it.
Chris Bosh.
Okay. All right. I like the comp there. All right. So everybody in the chat, make sure to continue to drop those in. Put your Twitter handle in. Drop the name of the player. Also, continue to barrage the coach on Twitter with gifts that are funny and just say that you miss him. Because one, I like dropping those on him and he has no idea what's happening. And two, it's funny to see him respond. And also, obviously, we all do miss him, and he'll be back here in a couple days.
Coach does like pink and the color pink and Pee Wee Herman. So anything you can send him that involves pink or Pee Wee Herman, he'll really enjoy that.
Yeah, well, be careful of those Pee Wee Herman gifts. I would be. No, yeah. So another question that I have is this, and you guys have been on the live show before. You know it. I like to have fun, with it because not only in terms of the bets that we make, like I love, looking at mine afterward and looking at you guys and everyone across SportsLine and cappers and experts, all over the place, right? I like looking at what you almost bet on, but you didn't quite pull the trigger here. So, Matt, I'm going to leave it with you first. Were there any bets that you looked at and said, I like this one, but you just didn't quite go through? It just didn't, hit you enough that you wanted to place it, but you were pretty close to doing it.
In this, you mean the draft?
Yeah, correct. Yep.
No, not really, because I just think it's so different than last year when there was a few years on some, wasn't as sure. We weren't sure Anthony Edwards was going number 1. The Warriors were a good team. They could kind of take whoever they wanted. LaMelo Ball, I'm a Bulls fan. I was hoping he was going to slip to 4. He didn't, and they took Patrick Williams. But this year it just seems really pretty set. And, it's hard to believe a lot of smoke that's come out with these over-under props. It's a little difficult. I mean, you look at the best 10 mock drafts or the guys you trust, and, you use your own judgment, I guess. But no, I don't really filter that way, like things I wish I would have taken. I either do it or I don't. It's the same, any sport really.
Yeah.
So no, I'm pretty happy with what I pick. I like his Boo Night one. I thought he liked under, not over. I thought you had him going 6, but I agree with his. I was looking at Trey Mann actually, but players I'm familiar with, that's another thing I watch. I have interest in. A lot of baseball. I'll pick games that are on TV or I'm interested in. I like to do props on guys I've watched that I'm familiar with. I'm like, oh yeah, I've seen him play 20 times.
Yeah, no, you bring up a good point too in terms of guys that you watch, right? And obviously, not just regionally based or where anybody's from, just seeing those teams, but guys that you're familiar with, whether it's in college, whether it's the G League, something like that. So Amir, I thought the same question to you. Were there any bets that you got pretty close to taking, but just didn't quite pull the trigger, or just things that just kind of caught your eye?
Yeah, just one. I really couldn't get a read on Sharife Cooper, the under 23.5 for draft position. It's plus 110 now, but yeah, I just didn't see anything convincing enough as far as like workout wise or people being, he had a really good workout and apparently he got a standing ovation, and then there was all the things just around him coming out about like I don't know if you guys saw his height discrepancy coming out, because a lot of people is why he's dropped down to the end of the first round. That's because people think he's like, oh, he's 5'11", he's really like 6 feet tall. And then after the combine, there were reports coming out that he was 6'4". So it was like, oh, so I had to I was like sorting through some of that stuff, and he kind of he dispelled that rumor. He's like, I'm not 6'1" anymore. I'm 6'2", but that's the size thing, regardless of how productive is I think a lot of guys look at. But yeah, I mean just looking at him and just seeing like the guy shot 104 free throws in 12 games after having his eligibility issues toward the beginning of the year. So I'm just like, just in my mind, it's like, how can guys let him drop all the way to 24 after seeing what he's able to do? He's just like human highlight reel. But I just there's just nothing like super strong. It's like I really feel like one team is like really leaning towards him, like just inside the top 20 or just outside. It was like, yeah, it was just like not much to go on. So
I'm with you. No, that's a fair answer. And also, side note, do you know how good of a workout you have to have for people to give you a standing ovation, right? Like nobody's over at Planet Fitness when I'm trying to put 2 plates up on bench. Like that's not happening at all. They definitely don't want to see my work out on the court trying to get a little mid-range game going. But no, that's fantastic that the guy literally gets a standing ovation. Like that shows you, just how talented the kid is. Now we have another question in the chat, and I'll put it up to both of you guys. Joseph McBride asks, any chance Barnes goes 4? He has a prop of Barnes over 4.5 at minus 280. Thinks that's still, solid return on investment here. Amir, I'll keep it with you. Matty boy, you go next on it. Any chance that he kind of gets backdoored on this pick, or should he feel good on that over 4.5?
I feel like you should feel good on the over 4.5. Just from everything what I've seen, it seems like the Raptors did their due diligence, but it seems like they're really locked in on Jalen Suggs. It seems like Kyle Lowry's future is elsewhere, and they're kind of trying to move on and get that next hard-nosed guard and, have like two-way guys who can really be locked in. So, I think it's not very likely given that they have OG Anunoby and they have Pascal Siakam, and then add in another guy who, I mean, he can play defense and he's a playmaker, but they have the kind of playmaking they need already. They have the long, versatile defender kind of guy. I think adding another one of those makes sense.
Yep. Matty boy, any thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think there's much chance either. I don't know why you wouldn't just parlay that if you're that confident with Barnes as the number 5 overall pick, which is basically the same price, and you're going to get the double your investment. Because I think it's pretty certain that he's going number 5. Which incidentally, there's another trade. The Nets just added the number 29 pick for Landry Shamet. So that could be a place where my boy JT Thor goes. They could use a young athletic guy.
I like it. All right, so before we wrap up the show, let's go ahead and take a look again at our picks that we have. If we could put up Amir's first, and I'm going to quickly run through that. We'll put up Matt's as well, read through that, and then we're going to find our Twitter or our winner in terms of in the chat here of the best player in the draft. So Amir, you got Zaire Williams under 18.5, Book Knight over 6.5, Kai Jones under 15.5, Trey Man over 25.5. Let's get Matt's up here, take a look at what he's got as well. I'm excited. I love betting on drafts. They're so much fun because there's so much action, and especially when we have trades that are going into it, it makes it even that much more exciting. Matt's on Josh Giddey under 10.5. On Kuminga over 6.5, Luka Garza under 54.5, JT Thor under 31.5. So before we go, Jeweler, if you could work on finding us a winner in the chat here. I want to hear some final thoughts before the draft. So, Matt, I'm going to throw it to you first. Any final words, any, departing wisdom that you have for anybody? Are there any futures bets that you're looking at for right after the draft, right? It could be anything. I toss it to you, buddy. What you got?
No, I'm excited to look at the NBA draft's my favorite of all of them. The NFL just takes forever. This is 5 minutes. The NBA does everything well and fast. I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, I hope now they're saying Bradley Beal might stay put, but I don't know how he would accept that. It's about trades. I'm pretty confident on my picks. I like his picks. Also like the Tigers and the A's tonight.
Oh, there we go. All right. I like it. I like those two. I'm on the A's and Angels over 9 in that one. So, Amir, I throw it to you, buddy. Any final thoughts, departing wisdom, anything that you have on the NBA draft tonight?
Yeah, I don't necessarily have any extra throwing plays I want to talk about, but I think things could get pretty interesting outside of that top 10. I think just looking at those guys who are just maybe could creep into the end of the lottery or just outside the lottery. Yeah, I'm really just interested to see how those trades are going to work out and how far those fringe guys really slide up. And as the trades continue to roll in, and we know they will, then it'll continue to switch up the scenario for what teams are going for who. So it's not going to be cut and dry once picks are made. We're going to be see a lot of picks, I think, flying around. Drafting for other teams. So, yeah, I'm just excited to see the NBA shift around a little bit more and see some new faces.
I love it. We really do appreciate everybody tuning in. And seriously, Amir, I think you brought up a great point too, is that, even though the show is coming to an end, we've got, just 2 hours left until the actual draft starts. We're all going to be watching. We're all going to be on Twitter. We're all going to be talking about this. So seriously, follow Matt, follow Amir. If you have any questions, if you have any thoughts, if you have any bets, right, that you're throwing out there, like this is just an ongoing, continuing conversation. So we want everybody to make sure, let's keep that going. Also, before we go, we have a winner at Fade Me to Glory. At Fade Me to Glory. Congratulations. You just won
Twitter?
What'd you say?
Isn't that Coach's Twitter?
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. So, congratulations. Welcome to the SportsLine team. We'll get in touch with you, get that all set up. And again, like we said, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Hit us on the early edge tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern. We're going to be delivering some more Major League Baseball picks. Plus, we'll take a look if there's any futures bets after this NBA draft of what we need to address. So, as Coach always says, you have your marching orders. Now, let's take that straight to the pay window.
Cheers.
Do you want best bets in your feed every single day? All you have to do is hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with all things Early Edge.